Welcome back to the Daily Mastermind. My name is George Wright III with your daily dose of inspiration, motivation, and education so that you can take it into your weekend. Looking forward to talking with you today. Been out at our high net worth investor conference in Las Vegas, Nevada. Had about 250 people, all with the focus of financial education and personal development. I loved it. We were able to really get some great feedback and work with some individuals, much like yourselves who listen to this podcast. So let's go ahead and get into it. Today's quote of the day is an anonymous quote, and it says, "The ones who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones that do it." That's a great quote because I'll tell you, yeah, it does take a little bit of crazy sometimes. I do think that's the case. But what's your vision for 2020? I hope you're starting to think about that. Don't wait till the first of the year. Let's go ahead and get some things going before the end of the year so that when the year starts, you are already on track, running and gunning, working towards your goals. So the topic I want to talk to you today about is one that's related to mental health. There's so many individuals I speak with recently that, are going through episodes of anxiety, stress, depression. I'm always on the lookout. I've had a lot of different times in my life where I've struggled with the same thing, and I'm always on the lookout for good articles. And I found an article. In fact, I get quite a few articles every once in a while sent to me from the awarenessact.com website. I really love that website for the content if you want to check it out. But I found an article that was called 8 Psychological Techniques that will help you to forget the things you want to forget. Because here's the bottom line. We all have stuff on our mind from our past. And even though we know that our past does not define us, and even though we know that we can't live in the past, it's hard to get that out of your mind because your mind has a way of embedding those, those neurons have a way to just hang on to those experiences, those bad experiences, and they cause a lot of stress, a lot of anxiety for us. So I'm going to read you from this article, and then I'm going to make a couple of comments along the way just to give you some tips and tricks to use that I've used that's worked, and maybe you have some of your own. But I'm going to read this article to you, and I hope it's something that brings value for you. Okay, while sometimes it can be very hard to get over something that has happened or even hard to move on from it in general, there are lots of tricks to moving on. Whenever you find yourself stuck in the past, working with your mind rather than against it can really come in handy. Our minds might be very set in their ways, but it doesn't mean changing them is not possible. And as I mentioned on other podcasts, that concept of neuroplasticity has proven that we can change the paths and things inside our brain. So if you're struggling to get your mind off something and need a bit of help, you're in the right place. These are some techniques that will help you to forget whatever it is that you need to forget, or at least keep your mind off of it in ways that you've been unable to accomplish in the past. And I use some of these myself as well. So let's go ahead and go through them. The first way is, number one, add a new perspective to the mix. Don't think of things in the same way. Allow yourself to be taken out of your own shoes and placed elsewhere. What does that situation look like from the outside facing in? Is there anything that you feel could have been changed? And where does this leave you? Now, that suggestion I really like because I've mentioned many times in the past this book that I really enjoyed called The Untethered Soul. And it talks about the idea that when you can step back and take this third-party view of the emotions that you're dealing with, it not only gives you perspective, but it allows you to get into this logical mode because these emotions, as we know, are very, they're very, oh man, I don't even know how to say it, but they're very focused on a certain part of your brain, whereas logic on your other side of the brain comes in and it allows you to analyze and really mix in with that emotion some of your logical brain. And that helps you to kind of change your perspective. So that's the first suggestion. Number two, find something better to think about. When we have a lot of bad things on our minds, finding a good to think about, something good to be thinking about is hard, but it is important. Make better memories and bring forth a new sense of obsession in this matter. Not everything is always as we would expect for it to be. And here's what I would recommend for you. Be prepared to do this ahead of time. If you're going to find something better to think about, find some things so that when you're triggered and you have this anxiety or these past emotions and memories come up, you already have 2 or 3 things. It might be a playlist on your phone. It might be a book. It might be a quote. It might be a photo album, but something that gets your mind thinking about something better. That's what I suggest for you to do. I do it myself, and I know that that's something that can help you to get out of the trap of your mind. Number 3, remind yourself that you shouldn't think about it. When you find yourself falling back into the pattern of obsessively thinking about whatever it is that's haunting you, remind yourself that you shouldn't be doing that. Remind yourself that you're not what you've gone through. What you've gone through doesn't define you. You're stronger despite the odds. Eventually, the more often you do this, the more you'll find yourself thinking about it less and less. This goes back to that concept of neuroplasticity. The more often we break our patterns and the more consistently we break our patterns, the more we create patterns that are different. And so it's important that you trigger, when these things get triggered, that you remind yourself not to do it. You remind yourself to do something differently. The fourth suggestion is do something to take your mind off it. Activity definitely makes a difference. Find a new hobby or get some work done. There's tons of things we can do to keep our minds busy. You just have to find what works best for you. And as I mentioned before, plan in advance, be prepared. You're not going to be able to be in the right mindset when you're trying to take your mind off by doing something when you get stuck in that mindset. So my suggestions are always move. Get up from the couch, your desk, wherever you're at, move around, exercise, find a hobby, go meet someone for coffee. Find something that you can do to get your mind off it. But usually it's motion, because motion creates emotion, creates activity, and changes your physical state and your mental state. The fifth suggestion is look at the bright side. When you look at the bright side and you take things as they are and find the good in them, that makes a huge difference. Sure, you might have gotten, dumped or have a bad situation, or, you're able to find someone better now, but you have to get free of these thoughts by looking on the bright side. Why would you want to waste your life with someone who doesn't care about you? Why would you want to get caught up in a situation or some type of an experience that's going to bring you down? You're the only one that's going to, be frustrated by that. Now, my personal advice would be learn to practice gratitude. I mean, literally the act of practicing gratitude. Make a list. Make 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things you're grateful for. It's very difficult to be in a state of gratitude and still fall into those negative mindsets. So try that. Number 6, release things ritually, however you see fit. Think up a ritual that works for you and get it done. For me, writing things out and tearing them up is a big help. This will allow you to get everything out and let go of it. There are a lot of different things you can do. You can Google or search something like EMDR therapy. That's EMDR therapy. That's a therapy that allows you to go through some of these emotions and stressors, but apply your logical brain and get in there and try to analyze what you could do differently. And it'll help to recreate that emotional experience. But find some ritual ways that you can change this thought pattern and thought process. Number 7, talk to someone about it. Now, if you're really struggling and you need some help, don't hesitate to reach out to those who care about you, because despite what you may think, there's always someone in some place that can show you some caring and support. You have a support system and they want to be there for you when you need them. Talking is sometimes the best way to finally get things off your mind. I've read some and heard some great stuff from Brene Brown, and she talks about making sure that you find friends that empathize with you, not just sympathize with you. You're not looking for people to agree and jump on the bandwagon. You're looking for people who are going to say, hey, I see how you feel, but you're strong. You can do this. You have greatness. You want people that are going to listen and empathize, but not someone who's just going to sympathize and jump on the bandwagon and make it worse. So be careful who you get with and who you talk to when you have those situations. And number 8, the last suggestion is, and this is a big one, let go of triggering objects. If you, for instance, have gone through a breakup and you have not thrown out his or her things yet, do it. Holding on to these things is only a trigger of more and more thoughts of the past and the problems that you've had. In the end, you're causing your own trauma through holding on to things for too long. Now, here's the deal. If you're looking to punish yourself and you've got all these negative emotions, why would you keep these things around? Pack them up, get rid of them, move them out, whatever you need to do. But get rid of things that trigger you. Be ultra protective of your mindset. This is the thing that creates your life. Your thoughts create your life. Don't allow things. Guard it like a vault. Guard your mind like a vault, because that is your tool. Keep that tool finely tuned so that you can create the life that you are meant to live. So those are 8 suggestions of what you can do in order to, get rid of some of those bad thoughts, adjust or add a new perspective, find something better to think about, remind yourself that you shouldn't think about it, do something to take your mind off it. Look at the bright side, release things ritually, talk to someone, or just get rid of these triggering objects. I hope those are some suggestions. Sometimes they sound simple or easier than they are, but I promise you, the act of thinking about it, working on it, and doing it, you'll find the solutions that you need to find. You have greatness inside of you, you have the answers inside of you. I hope that you can continue to level up and continue to approach and work for the best version of yourself. My name's George Wright III. I have enjoyed being with you here today. I hope you have an amazing weekend, and I will talk with you soon. Have a great day.